any
This
questions?
conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, I was having some issue how to connect to my instance. I know you did it the other day, but
No
I
issues.
can't
Let's
like.
do it. I'll give you the presentation. I'll make you the presenter, and then you can do it. Okay, let me see.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
So what did I do wrong?
Okay, so try connecting to the new instance. That's it. I
Hello?
do see it's complaining for something. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so try connecting to your instance.
Like
So
that?
EC2, is your instance running?
Yeah, it is running.
Okay, so let's go and make a new connection. Yeah. Click on SSH. Let's start it. Yeah, it's good.
What do I
I can
click?
see that. Yeah, click on SSH. Yes.
Right?
Yes, that's right. Now go under advanced SSH settings. And then yeah, use private key.
Do I have to specify the private key?
Yeah, and then click on that. You can see, yeah, just click there and choose your key.
Oh.
So wherever you have saved it yesterday.
Like
Yeah,
that?
that's the one. Okay, click on OK.
Okay, yeah, that's what I missed.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I
So you're
missed
good.
that. Yeah, I missed that private key section. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, so that's so it was waiting for that because the error which I saw you on your screen, it was waiting for the private key. So if you open the other session, you can see that it was waiting for the private key.
Okay.
If you can just click that, yeah, you see these lines. So it's accepting the private key from that location where you have actually saved them. So it says see users, Robert, documents, and then it asks for your private key. So that was not fast. That's all. Simple as that.
So
All right,
now
good.
I'm
So
connected, right?
yeah, so now you have connected. You can run some commands. Just run a few of the commands to test it.
Okay. All right. Just proceed. I can do that later, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so you're good?
Yeah.
Anything else which you just want
No.
right now? Because it's still connected.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'll take back the control and I'll start sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with a new topic today, which is ELB. So we have already done with EC2. And now we'll be going for another one, which is ELB. Now, before we start, let's just quickly go through a bit of an overview on what ELB is. So I'm just going to draw a few images to make you help understand what it is. So this is Paint where we are, and let's say these are the EC2 instances which you now know how to run them, how to connect them. So I'm creating maybe just 3 for now. Okay. Now, when you are running these EC2 instances, maybe these 3 EC2 instances are same. So as we have done yesterday, let's say I'm running HTTP server in all 3 of them. So my web server is running on the first one, my web server is running on second one, and again my web server is running on third one as well. And why I'm doing that, I'm just making it highly available. So I'm making 3. So in case anything happens, if one of my server crashes, still other servers should be available for processing my request. So what I do in that case, I can create something called ELB, which is Elastic Load Balancer. That will take requests from outside, and then I would be able to move that request to any of these. So it mainly load balances my request. So this is my ELB, and this can be any of the client. Just about client or browser, I can say anything. So any of the end user which will be sending a request, just to make it a little light, so make sure that we are on different. So this is your ELB, these are your web servers, and then this one is your client. Right, so what happens whenever request comes in, your request would be coming in a way as this, right? And then, so your request will be coming in, which should be going to these HTTP servers. Sorry. Okay, it's just wrong. Let me remove it. So mainly your request comes to one of your ELBs, and I'm going to lift it a little. And so client sends a request from here, which comes through ELB, and then it will be load balance across these 3. So what do you mean by load balance? So depending upon, let's say, if this server is free or any of these servers is free, it will be sending first request to this server, second request to that server, third request to this server. So based on the number of requests coming in, it will be load balancing your request for you. So here we are seeing just for 3, but same thing is applicable for more than 2 instances. So it can have any number of instances. You can have 10, 15, 20, hundreds, any one of them. So you can have that. Now, ELB is something you can place at many levels. So you can place it between your HTTP and between client, and you can also place it between your app server or between your databases. So between your app server or databases. So depending upon how you. So whenever you have a requirement, when you want to load balance your request, you can make use of ELB. And this is what we'll be learning today. We'll try to set up. And these are some of the components we'll be learning, and then again we'll be using same. We'll be integrating it with other tools which we'll be learning as a part of our session. All right, so let's start with ELB. And where do I find it? So when I'm in EC2 dashboard, this is EC2 dashboard, I can see that nothing's running at this moment. I have ELB right here. So we do have ELB right here. So that's my load balance.
Okay.
So that's the load balancing. It's called Elastic Load Balancer. Let me just write it bold to make sure that we are following it. It's called Elastic Load Balancer, and that's why it is named ELB. And why it is elastic? Because you can add number of servers to it, you can remove from it, you can change your configuration on fly. So everything you can do on fly. You don't have to stop anything. While if you're working with a hardware load balancer, you may have to do it for some time. All right, so this is my load balancing. There are 2 components in it. We have load balancers and we have target groups. So in the earlier versions of AWS, it was just one ELB. If you go to ELB, it was doing everything for you. But now what they have done is they have just segregated it into two pieces. So they have created one load balancer and target group. So let's just see it. So I'll go to load balancer first, and let's first create a load balancer. So I already have number of instances. So we'll create one load balancer, and then we will load balance one of those requests. And we're gonna test it. Okay, so I already have two of them here. Let's see what are the instances we have. Anyway, I'm going to create one, but let's just see something which is already available. So there is one ELB which is available, and what server it is load balancing. So how do I find out? Let me see the listener. So it's listening on this, monitoring, it's fine. So let me check the server, what it is supporting. So that's something I'll be finding in auto scaling. Sorry, not auto scaling. I clicked on the wrong one. Target groups. So target group is where it decides where I am pointing it. All right, so this is my target group, and within that you have something called targets. Let me expand it a little to make it visible. Right. So this target group, so first step is you create a ELB load balancer, and in second step we'll be creating a target group. Once target group is created, we'll be pointing it to this load balancer where we specify our targets. And as you can see that right now we just have one of the instances available. But anyways, let's create a new one. So this is for the one of the existing one which I just checked. We'll be creating one for ourselves. So let's create one. So first step, let's create a load balancer. Right, so when you create this load balancer, you see that there are three options. Now the one you see at extreme right, these are the older ones. So that was something we were using, when there was elastic, EC2 elastic network. So we don't have any more of these right now. So in case we are working with HTTP or HTTPS request, we will be using application load balancer. In case we are working with a network, so mainly we are just doing network load balancing, and you are not worried about your application, but it has to do with the network. For example, when you want to set up it between your web server or application server, so between client and your application server, we would be using application load balancer. But when you want to set it internally, maybe between your databases or maybe some other firewall systems or any of other networking systems, you can use this. But we are going to test Apache, which we have run on our system. So we'll be using this one, application load balancer. And that's what most of the time you would be using as a part of it. Network is something when you deal with networks. So we are creating application load balancer. First thing, we'll specify a name, and I'll say ELB. And I would say server, just simple as that, or ELB demo, because my machine name is demo. And there are two ways, like you say, internet facing and internal. So I can have something internal facing. That means requests will be coming from the browser. So someone would be hitting the ELB from internet. In case I am not creating it for the internet, I can set up internally. That means it is set up internally within my EC2 instances. So maybe my EC2 instances are connected to other EC2 instances which are private, but I still want to load balance them. I can use internal as well. So just about how you are accessing it. So we are going to hit it from URL. So right from our console, right from our browser. So I'm using internet facing. And IPv4 is my addressing. So this is something which will be enabled by default. I can also add HTTPS, but do remember that as soon as I add HTTPS, that means I have a requirement for certificates as well, and it will be asking me for certificates. So I have to make sure that if I do that, I need to have certificates. So I'm just choosing it for now, but I'll be canceling it, and I'll be taking it for my default. So I'll choose my default network, which consisting of availability zones. Now when you choose your ELB, you also have a freedom of choosing the availability zones. So if you would like, you can choose all of them, but let's say if you have EC2 instances in just few zones, then you can create it only for them. But it makes sense that you can have it in any one of them. So tomorrow, if any of the EC2 instances are running, you can just make it part of that ELB. So I'm choosing all of them to make it highly available. And then next we will do configure security. Now, so why I'm getting this option? So this is the option. I'm getting it for the reason because I've chosen the option called HTTPS. Now, when I've chosen that, I have to specify the certificate. If I don't do that, then I won't be able to proceed, or I should say no existing certificates, and choose a certificate from ACM, which will be giving my default. So I can buy something from AWS as well, or from the AWS platform, or in case I don't want to buy it because it's being chargeable, I can just change it from here. So I'm going to remove it, which is going to take me to just HTTPS, right? But it just complains, so it gives you a warning. So when I choose an HTTPS, it doesn't give any warning. It just said, provide the details for the certificate and proceed. But now I've chosen HTTP, so it's just giving short of a warning, which says improve your load balancer security. It is not secure, and I know that it's not secure because I know I have used HTTP. But in a production environment, we certainly would be using HTTPS, and then we will be ordering certificate. We will be deploying that certificate onto our ELB, and that's the best practices. But if you would like to replicate that on AWS, you can certainly do that, but your certificates are chargeable. They are not free, so you'll be charged for it because it comes with additional security. It uses your SSL, which is security layer. All right. Now, next step is you have to choose one of the security groups. Now, this is same what we have done earlier for EC2 instances. So we choose one of the security group, which will have some list of inbound and outbound connection details. So mainly your inbound and outbound IP networking details. But that is something you can change as well. So you can choose any one of them, which you prefer. Now I see that I don't have anything specifically for my ELB. Do I have something? Yeah, I have created one for ELB, so I can choose that, right? And I'm going to uncheck this one. So I'm not choosing the default, and we will see that what are the details for this one. So mainly your port 80 has to be open because ELB listens on port 80, so that has to be available. So I'm choosing this one, which is web security for ELB. And web security, you just create it once and you can use it any number of times for any of the instances. So if you're creating 30 EC2 instances, still you can use the same security groups. And if you're creating anything else, you can still create it. I just create different components for different security groups for different components. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm choosing web server security for ELB, which I have already created, and we will see that what are the rules within that. All right, so I'm going for the next one. Now at this step, what I'm doing is I'm actually creating my target group. So first three steps: configure load balancer, configure security settings, configure security groups, and now I'm in fourth one, which decides my routing. So that means that's where I'm telling my ELB where to go. So in the first three steps, what I did is I just did this. So I've created my ELB. Now in next step, now onwards, I'm doing this. So I'm deciding routing, so where my traffic should go, to the first server, second server. So everything I'll be doing it in target groups. That's where I'm doing target groups. So I'm going to specify a target group, and I can give it a new name. Again, I'm going to give it ELB demo TGT GRP protocol HTTP, because if I choose HTTPS, immediately it will be asking for certification, and then I should have certification, otherwise I cannot access it from my browser. Now, target type. So that's where you can decide how you want to do it. You want to do it based on instance type, or you want to do it based on IP. I'm choosing IP so that I'll be specifying IP. Now there is another check which says health check. It consists of HTTP and HTTPS. We are on HTTP, and slash means it's going to check your path right from your root. So that's most of the time your root will be index.html or index.php or anything, any sort of those files. So yeah, it starts from root and it will be taking everything. You do have some advanced health checking as well, where you can check for a traffic flow, health setting, or you can override ports as well if you wish to. But we'll keep it default and we'll go to the next one, where we'll go for registered targets. So here what we have done, we just gave it a name and we said it will be available in port 80 and you'll be using IP address. If you say instance, you have to choose instance. If you say IP, you have to choose IP. All right, so let's go for the next, which is register targets. Now that's where you specify what IP addresses you want to add. I'm getting quite a number of them, but I don't want to add them. So instead, let me show you another one. So I can take my IP and I can choose my IP, put in right here. Or I can do one more thing just to show you. So if I change this, that's going to find out where I'm creating. Okay, so I don't see anything here, and maybe I don't have an instances on this one. Let me see what we have right now. All right, so we have all these instances and none of them are running. So fine, I will just create it for now. It says add registered and I can add it right here. Okay, I can add or remove. So I have not registered any instances of now, and we will be adding it later. So for now, what I'm creating, so I'm creating my ELB and the target group, which I have placed. That's being done. Let's say create. So let us get created and it's being ready. So that's being ready. Let's close it and go back to our screen. And yes, so this is the one which we have created and it says it's provisioning. Okay, so till the time it's provisioning, let's just see the details, what it has created. So it has created a name and an ARN name. So ARN name is useful when you are working with programs, when you're creating a programming, when you are using APIs, you can use these ARN names, or when you are creating a JSON script or YAML script, you make use of ARN resource. So using that, it will find out your particular. So ARN actually is your Amazon resource name. So I should just highlight few of the words. So ARN is called Amazon resource name. And this is useful when you are working or when you're trying to automate things, when you're working with JSON, YAML scripts, or when you're working with internal AWS resources. And if you want to access it from outside using REST APIs and all, you can make use of it. DNS names is DNS name for your this load balancer, which is this, which you will be hitting it through our URL. And then you can see the number of subnet it has. So it has all the subnets, all the availability zones. It is containing all 6 of them. And then VPC, IPv4 provision, and it's currently provisioning. Let me quickly refresh. Yeah, so it's still doing it. So once it is active, then only we'll be able to make use of it. And then let's go to listeners. That's where we can see that it is listening on HTTP port 80. So we are good with that. We can also add additional listeners if we would like to. Monitoring, it's not being enabled as of now. Only default monitoring would be available. And you can see that target response, role evaluation. So these are default. So it does give you default for matrices for everything, for your EC2 instances, for your ELB, any of the resources you create. And they are not being chargeable. But if you want to create additional ones, then you will be charged for it. All right, so I am here on load balancer. I can also check my target group, which is being created as a part of this, which is ELB demo target group. And we can just quickly go and check it. So description, that's the description. It also has an ARN name, the name, protocol, port, and instance type. All right, so let's go to target. So in target, we don't have anything as of now. And we will have to add it. Before that, let me quickly start few of our instances. And let's see what region they are in. Okay, so I'm going to start 2 of the machines. So something which we created yesterday, that was this machine. So it's running in East 1B, and I'm going to start this one as well. And let me start this one as well. Okay, so that's going to take some time, and they are running in. So one is running on East 1B, another one is running on East 1D. Let me quickly do this so that I can see that. Right, so 2 are running on 1B, East 1B, and one of them is running in East 1D. Okay, so that piece is being done. So I'm starting my EC2 instances. And you see that it says a request made AWS config exceed the maximum request rate permitted for your account. Oh, okay. So that's something, within my account, I have been restricted to use only once. So for that reason, I can just remove this one for now. Something which I created earlier.
Okay.
So let me just delete it. So yeah, as a part of free account, it doesn't allow you to create so many. So that's fine. So it just found out that I'm violating one of their conditions, and yeah, it's good now. So it's updated. So now it identified that one of the ELB has been deleted, so it's good now. All right, so let's go to target group, and let me remove the target group, the previous one as well, because again, I won't be using it. So it doesn't make sense to keep it. And I'm going to remove all of them. So I'm going to remove my ELB as well. Okay, and so health check is where I specify health check. These are the default checks which are already in place. Okay, so 2 of them are running now, as I can see. So none of them were running at that point of time, so it was not visible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check these, and I will say add to registered. So mainly I'm registering these two. What does that mean? That from now on, I don't have to go to these EC2 instances and run it. But before that, let me quickly do something. So we have to perform some tests, right? Before we actually go there. So what is that test? We have to make sure that we can access HTTP server from there. Okay, so let me see which one is running. So what we are going to do is we will check for HTTP instance. We know that we have installed it here, and then we will install it on this one, and we will see that we can access HTTP page from both of these. So once we can access it, then we can load balance it right from one IP. So we don't have to go for these two IPs. So that's what we are going to test. So let me just name it here. What we are going to do is EC2 new machine, and another one is demo EC2. So these are the 2 machines. So what I'm going to check first, HTTP Apache, mainly Apache server, that should be up and running. So we will test it individually from those machines. So we'll hit the URL for those machines, and we will check that it is running. Once that is done, we will be hitting it from ELB, and then ELB should be taking care of that. So we don't need to hit that individually, and ELB should be taking care of that. All right, so let's let it come. Yeah, so they are ready now. Let me connect to one of them. It's just taking a while to come up. Okay, so finally it is back. So let's check on the first machine. I'm really sure that we did install it yesterday, so it should definitely be there. But let's just go and connect and check it. All right, so I'm going to do this. So I'm connecting to the first one, and then let's check for HTTP service if it is running. If it is not, we'll just start it. The psef, I can just quickly check it using psef command. Okay, that's wrong command. Psef grep httpd. So it's not running. So let's start it. Sudo service httpd start. I know it was installed, so that should definitely be working. And let's go and check it. Right, so it's working. I can quickly take its IP and hit the URL right here. Okay, right. So I'm seeing the page. So for the first one, I can see the page. So that's my first machine where I can see the page. Let's go to the next one, which is demo EC2. And this also should be giving me the same page. So I'll be connecting to that. And we'll check for HTTP. If it is not there, we'll install it. If it is there, we'll just start it. So I don't remember whether I installed it, but I'm just predicting it should be there. All right, so let me first check if it was even there. HTTPD, no, it's not there. And let me try starting it. Okay, so it's not there. So let me quickly install that. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna use sudo yum install httpd, and that's gonna install it. So maybe I just kept this machine intact and I didn't do anything with this one. So it was not there. All right, so we are good with it. So let's start it. Started. Let me validate it. Yeah, it's running. So I'm going to hit the next URL. So I'm going to pick this one. Okay, so are they same? Yeah. So I've checked the first one, which IP is 54.85.34.194, and the other one, which is 54.175.111.190. So mainly these are two different IPs which I'm accessing. But I do have a problem. So I can check it from here because I'm hitting their URL directly. So I know which particular server I'm hitting. So this page is coming from the first server. This is coming from the second server. But when I actually hit it from ELB, I won't know which server it is hitting in. It will just display one of these pages. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little change in the layer, and I'll say var html www/html. Yes, and this is where I will create one file called vi index.html just to display some page. And then it's just quick, HTML, some taglines. I'll say title goes to my test server 1. All right, and then let me give a heading. Or let me give body. That should be enough. And I'll say this is
What does this file do?
yeah. So this will be just displaying me some contents. So right now I'm seeing a default page for Apache, right? So I just want to change it so that I know which server I'm hitting. So I'm just changing it, and I'll just show you right away. So I'm just adding this file, and I'll show you what has been changed now. Okay, there's something which I'm missing, so I need to copy this. Okay, and Q. Okay, so I've added this line. Let's go back, and this is for which server? The first one. No, this is for the second one. So let me hit that. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. So I'm just saying this is my first server, although I just did one mistake. Actually, this is second server. So I should be saying this is my second server. So this is my second server. So I'm just changing it so that when I hit it from ELB, I know which server I'm going on. That's the only thing. And this, okay, there's something happened. Something got screwed up. Mainly the code. All right, so no issues. I'm just quickly on add title. My test server 1. So mainly I'm just customizing the information to make sure that that information is being displayed. Nothing so fancy. Just to make sure that I can identify what page I'm logged in.
You're supposed to say test. You're supposed to say test server 2.
Yeah, so I've changed it now. Okay, did I on the title? Did I made a mistake? Oh right, yeah, I got you. Yeah, got you. So that's the one. So I'm changing it, and that should be the title. So yeah, title should appear. Let me run it again. Yeah, so now it is being changed. So my test server 2 is what I see here, and this is my second server. So now I'm good. And same thing, I'm going to change it for this one as well. So what I'm going to do instead, I'll just copy the contents of this and place it right there. So let's copy, which is here, and then on this server, cd/var/www/html sudo vi index.html, right? And let's place it. Okay, we are good. Now it should have been changed. So I've not made any colorfuls or anything for now. I've just made some information changes. Right, so this is my, okay, just one mistake again. I have to update it to server 1, server 1. So 1, and this will be first server. Okay, just that, right. Okay, so this is, I'm checking individually now. So when I'm hitting the first server, I'm getting my test server 1. When I'm hitting second one, it says my server 2. Great. So I'm good. Now my server is set up from the backend. I can go and set up my ELB, which is right here. So in my ELB, I'm going to add these two servers, right? So I have added. So I've added the first machine and the second machine, and let's do the save. Let's save it. Okay. Now when it is saved, let me check. So it says status initializing. So that means it is registering this target. So which going to take some time. And what do I mean by that? That means if I hit URL right now, so if I pick the DNS name right now, it won't be ready until those services are active. So let me pick the DNS and let me hit it right here. So yeah, so it's going to take some time because right now registration is in progress. So once it is says ready, we'll be good with that. Oh, it's healthy. So current check pass, so it's healthy. Now we can test it. We can also go to health check, so it's fine. So we should be able to get it now. Okay. Okay, before that, let's do one more check. Let's go and check for protocols, port 80, the security group for load balancer is what I want to test. Although it should be all fine, but just in case if there are some issues, let me just find that out. Yeah, so what our security says. So from the security point of view, we have to check whether those ports are open or everything is fine. I can access it from everywhere. Okay, so it's web server security, and what is the inbound? Inbound should be open. Right, so it's pretty much good. So okay, there's one problem right now, and that's why I'm not getting it. So I have set it up to access. That's something we'll be doing later on, but for now, I'm just opening it from the internet. All right, so yeah. So that's being done. Now this should be coming up. Okay, so it's hitting my second server. Let's do F5 again. So it's hitting my first, second, first, second. So you see that change? So we are actually load balancing our servers. So similarly, you can add any number of servers you wish to. You can add, we have just added 2 for this demo. But if you have a requirement, you can send more number of servers, and any sub application which is running, you will be able to load balances. So this is what we have done today till here. Now I will tell you that you need to maintain this configuration, because again, we will be integrating these with few other services. So in future, we are going to discuss some services such as networking. We'll be doing VPC. We'll be doing a route to 53, and we'll be doing cloud front, and we will be integrating it with those services. So once you create these, keep them, don't delete it. It's not going to cost you any additions. It will not give you any additional charge. ELB is free. It will only charge for the number of EC2 resources you are using. So in a month, you can use up to 3. So just create 2 for now and keep it to that level. And then we can just do a research with 2 of them. And then later, when we'll go further into the course, we'll be using this ELB, we'll be integrating it with other services. So once you've created, just keep that. Okay, now there's one more thing I want to give it to you, which will be more like an assignment, and you have to find out. Just give you a trick. But what is that? Now, so when I have created such a configuration, right, I certainly want that someone should be hitting my ELB, and they should not have access to my EC2 instances. That means they should not be able to hit them directly, which means nobody should be able to reach my EC2 instances directly. Okay, I'll just draw it like that. Right, so this is what I want. So mainly, no one should reach my EC2 instances directly, because that's why I have my ELB in place. So I want to hide all these IPs. Only my ELB should know what EC2 instances it has connected to. But for now, what we have, so this is my ELB. If I hit it, it's load balancing, it's fine. I'm good with it. So that configuration is perfectly fine. No issues with that. My ELB is able to reach to my EC2 instances. But let's just go here, which is my EC2 instance. And let's hit that. So I can actually access it from here as well, right? So what I need to do that now, I have to edit the security group configuration for my EC2 instances. And what that has to be done? So these EC2 instances should be accessible only through my ELB. So as I said, none of the services should be able to get that page from outside. So I'll just do one piece of it, and I'll give you the other piece to do it yourself. All right, so how do we do that? So let's go to our EC2 instances first. And let's check their security groups. So I'll be going to one of them, which is this one, right? And let's check its is. So this is the group. So it is using default security group as of now, right? So I'll be going to default security group. Okay. And then I'm going to cross it so that I get other security groups as well. Now at this point, you can also create additions, or I can choose any one of the existing ones as well. For example, I can check its rules first. And if I don't want to edit default one, I can decide something else. Right, so currently I do see that it is open to port 80, and it is open for all traffic. So everyone can listen it from outside. So what I have to do is I will have to edit this. How do I do that? Let's go. And I should remove these 2 first. I have to make it secure, right? So let's remove it. All traffic, okay? Now, but will that work? Because eventually what I'm saying that it should be listening only on port 82, and which means I can access it from PuTTY, MobaXterm, but it won't be able to hear it from ELB. So for that, I do have to have my HTTP in place, right? But there would be just one change, and what that would be, this is something I will have to edit, and I will have to say custom. And what I will do, I will add a security group of my ELB server, which is right here. right? So in a way, what I'm saying that traffic should come only from this ELB and it's not from anywhere else. Let's save it. So I'm just doing it for one of them, and let's go and test it if I can access it. Yeah, so I can access the first one, second one. Okay, now how do I know where I have made the change? For that, let me quickly do this. Let me bring it down so that I can show it to you. Okay, so let's take the second one and the first one. So first one is fine. First one, because I've not edited anything, but second one should not come because I've changed its permission. So I have said it cannot listen on port 80 from outside. So if it is still listening, then it's a problem. But you see that it's still rolling. Yeah, so that's exactly what I wanted. So what we have done now, we have blocked these EC2 instances. So this particular EC2 instance is blocked and it is not reachable from outside. Okay, if I have to do for the second one, again, same thing. Let's go back and do it for the second one. So did you get this part, Robert? If you can guide me, how do I do the second one? So I've done it for this one. Let's do it for this one. So what should I do?
No, I cannot. I cannot guide you.
All right, so that's fine. So I'll just repeat it one more time so that it will be easier to grasp it. So what we have done. So first thing, let's go step by step. So this is what we did. So first we have two machines where we test our Apache, which was running, and then we customized HTML pages, right? HTML pages to display server information, right? On both EC2 instances. So that's what we did. Okay. Then we have set up ELB and target group and added above two EC2 instances. So that's what we did, right? So first step, we should have two machines, at least two machines, because if we want to test it, like we saw, we need at least two machines. So we need two machines, and we should have one of the web servers, which we can see a default page for them, and then we customize page to show the to display the server information, and then we create ELB with target group, where we'll be adding these to EC2 instances. And remember that whenever you have to add EC2 instances, they should be in running status, otherwise it won't be visible. Okay, so once that piece is done, next is we can hit it from ELB, and ELB will start load balancing EC2 instances, right? So that's something it will do. But again, at the same time, EC2 instances are available over the internet. So mainly we can access it right from here. So for this one, we can't access, but if you check for this one, this is my EC2 instance, and still someone can access it, which I don't want it to. I want people to access it only through ELB, and they should not hit my EC2 instances directly, right? So that's what I want. So I have to block my EC2 instances, right? So change security group to block port 80 inbound only from ELB. Okay, so what's the difference? Earlier, port 80 was available on 0.0.0.0/0, which means anyone from the internet can access this, which is being changed to ELB security group name. So ELB security group name, which will be something like SG, anything like that. So mainly we have changed it to that name, and I think it was something like web sec group, or yeah, something like that. ELB, yeah, that was the name. So this is what we have done in a nutshell. So let's do that again. So what we're going to do now, Now we know that one of our instances, the second one, is available on the internet. Let's just check it once. Yes, so it is. I can still see that it is displaying the information. This is my first server. So if any of the application, or consider one of my websites are running, or e-commerce website is running, user can directly access this particular IP, and I certainly don't want that to happen. So I'm going to block it, but at the same time, I don't have to completely block it, because then I won't be able to access it from outside. So let's do that. So I'll go to my second one here, and we will go to security group, EC2 demo security, and let's just check for its inbound rules. So currently inbound rule says traffic is available from everywhere. Okay, this is something which we should remember. Whenever it says 000, that is something, it means open for the world. Open for the world. So anyone from outside, if he has your server details, he can access it from outside. He can hit that URL from outside, right? So that is something you are keeping it open. So you're just keeping it intentionally open, so it's not secure. It's mainly it's available for everyone because you want it that way. Otherwise, you can also restrict it to none. So you can say, if you don't want people to access it, if you now there are a few other choices. You have something called anywhere, which is same like anywhere, which means the same thing. When you say custom, you can provide something on your own. When you have my IP, that means you are restricting it to your network, so it should be listening only from this. Okay, but when I say custom, that means I want to append something, and what details I should put in here, I will be putting in details for my ELB load balancer name, which is this one. So we can see that websec group ELB, that's the one I have created a security group for ELB. And when I do that, okay, let's just first do one more testing quickly. Before I add that, what I'm going to do is, so I'm just going to say my IP, right? So I'm restricting it to my IP, and I'll just save it. What happens then? So if you say that, right? So if you say that it is available, still available. Okay, oh sorry, this is ELB. Yeah, so you see that you are not able to hit your manage server 1, this particular IP. So it is accessible from here, but it is not accessible from ELB now, right? It says 504 gateway timeout because it was trying to reach server 1. So that's what happened. And when you hit it from here, it is still fine because it is still available on its own network. So my IP is still okay just for that server. So I still can access it until or unless you're in the same network. Okay, and then let's do one more change, which is, so what I'm going to do next is, I'm just going to update anything, and I would say I just want to block it completely. So custom, and I'll give it some Zunk IP, right? Let's say this. So I'm blocking everything. Let's go back. So it's rolling. So it's not available because that particular IP is not in its network. And similarly, it won't be available even from your ELB because now you don't have access to it. So mainly it knows that that particular instance is not available, so it's not going there. It's only hitting server 2. So but it's not changing, right? And this is gone, can't be reached, right? So although it says it can't be reached, but there is a problem. So we are going to set it back, and now we will set it to ELB, and we can see that it's gonna go smooth this time. So yeah, different ways just to make sure that you understand your security. So what we are going to do is we are going to update this ELB Security Crewe. Okay, that's being done. Let's go and hit it. So what we wanted to achieve is being done. So that's going to take some time because I've changed some rules now. Yeah, so it's not available from here. It's not available from here. That's been good. Okay, let me quickly check where I have changed it. All right, this is something I don't want, so let me stop this one. Okay, so that's fine. Let's go and check the other one which we created, which is oh, okay, there's one thing. So it is still available on 0. So we're going to quickly change it. Yeah, so what we have done is that's why. So let's add role HTTP, and then I'm going to add that one. So mainly it got confused because I had two details available there, and now it should be good. All right, let's go back to our EC2 dashboard. So this should be flowing, it should be added in some time. So mainly I have blocked it. So I have blocked both my EC2 instances. Now these EC2 instances, it doesn't have access to the outside world. So it can only hear traffic from this ELB. Why? Because what we have done is we have done one change. We have one security group here. We have another security group right here. Okay, so we have these security groups at EC2 instance level, and we made a connection, direct connection between them. So we said this EC2 should be listening from this particular ELB. And this security group is part of that ELB. So that's how it has connected. So mainly we have created rules. Using that rules, it understands that this EC2 will be, this security group will be part of this EC2 instance, and ELB will be part, this security group will be part would be this ELB, and internally they'll be connected so they can follow this network. So that's what we have done. All right, so that's what finishes topic for today, and this is the important one. And you see that it started, it just took some time, and now we can see that again it has started load balancing both the servers, but now those servers are not available independently, so we have blocked it. And this is what an actual organization environment looks. So this is how you have to set up your environment. So if you have to do it, so you have to make sure that your EC2 instances are not available from outside. And in a way, you keep it private. So you keep it internal to your VPC so that no one from outside world can connect those EC2 instances, because you have already given them a console to access it, and they should be using just that. And all your applications, your development would be residing on these EC2 instances. Okay. So was that good? You were able to catch it? Do you think you would be able to do it, Robert?
Yeah, I'll have to review the video. I'm sure, normally when I go over the second time, I mean, I got the concept, in a nutshell. Hopefully when I go over when I
So that's what we need.
go over the video and practice, I'll get it. Yeah.
Okay, so just one request though. So although I ask you to remove most of your instances, but this is one particular instance which you can keep it. So when you create your ELB, just keep it there, don't remove it. So because we will be using it for further in the session, we'll be using that. Okay. And you're not getting charged for it, so don't worry about that.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so we'll catch up again tomorrow, and then we will be covering few other topics from EC2, and then most probably we will be finishing off with EC2 tomorrow. So we'll cover most of the EC2 things tomorrow. So tomorrow EC2 will be covered. We have just few things to cover, which will be completing tomorrow. Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.